lot is this one. It seems to work pretty well. Could you turn over this? So that one works really well.
Could you turn over?
And most of the time.
I like that one.
Yeah. So we'll go with that one. Could you, pardon me, put yourself center of the mat. So a couple things when they're laying on the mat. Depending if their neck has some tightness and it's not comfortable for them to turn their head one way or the other, then I would suggest maybe putting a rolled up towel or something there so that they can put their forehead on it. That is one way of doing it. Or else, also too, a bolster might be applicable underneath their chest. If you're working on someone and they have, if their lower back is already stiff, one thing I would suggest is putting a pillow or a bolster right underneath their ASISs. Because what that'll do is support and flatten their back so it'll take the pressure a little bit more. But in general, to keep the hips aligned and to keep pressure off the knees, well, we're going to practice safe bolstering and put it underneath their ankles. Okay? So, when you're working on someone in this position, we're going to start with loosening the back, and also, so that's going to curtail really working on the bladder meridian. If you remember the bladder meridian, how it splits in two, it's on either side of the back. So the back routine from the top of the shoulders to and including the sacrum, all about the bladder meridian. So when approaching in this position, and if the person happens to be whatever side they're facing, that's usually the side I start on, meaning how they're facing, because I want to have a clear opening here. So I'm going to take the arm and either put it straight out or else bend it, just so it's out of the way, because we need this area to come up, because we're going to come right up against it. And we're going to reach across the spine and apply palmar pressure. So we're going to start right at the top of the shoulders, and the palm of our hand is going to go in between the spine and the vertebral border of the scapula. Okay, and it goes right in here. And there's a way of working which is called mother-son hand, meaning when you're doing compressions, this hand, the mother, stays at home and keeps everything grounded. And then the son is venturing out. Okay? So we're going to be compressing down because we're following the yang descent of the bladder meridian. Right? So here, I'm going to have them inhale, and on the exhale, I'm leaning forward, but I'm rocking up on my knees. My feet are off the ground. So, and my arms are extended so that your weight goes into them a little bit more clearly. And the pressure is down and slightly away from the spine, because you're trying to create some space there between the musculature and the spine itself, where the inner bladder meridian is. And leaning forward, I'm exhaling. Rocking back, I'm inhaling. Now, depending on how tall you are, you might find that it's better for you to be back further. But I am definitely all up on her bumper here because of my size, so I feel like I'm over the work a little bit more here. And I'll usually do this compression a couple of times. Okay, and you want to include the sacrum. So you take that compression onto the sacrum. So, nice compression. Now we're going to come and start to mobilize. So, of the side that you just worked on, after you do those two compressions, you simply step across. Okay. Now I'm going to start working on her scapula, and you'll notice the position of the scapula in relationship to my body is right here. I'm not rotated or anything, it's right in front of me. And what we're going to do, and this is the reason I start with them facing this way, because now if they were faced the other way, their face would be right here, you know, as opposed to this little afro puff that's going on here. Okay, so I'm going to start like this. So top of the shoulder always tense, so flat fingertips, some nice circular friction, because you want to work on the musculature, loosen it so that the scapula rotates a little bit more. So nice.
And we should have our toe underneath it.
Yeah, I put my foot underneath here, pull it down. Well, see the shoulder, you want the shoulder down.
Oh.
And I here, because sometimes I'll do this. So here, and then I'm going to compress right on the back of the scapula to start to loosen up the infraspinatus here, because that's where small intestine goes through, infraspinatus. And also posterior deltoid.
Like small intestine.
So small intestine was the one that starts on the outside of the little finger, and then it comes up, but it follows the crease of the armpit, and then it comes right on the back of the scapula through the
How low does it go on the scapula?
it comes on, and right there's a point that's called small intestine 11. You feel that, yeah? It's in line with the inferior angle. This is a good point to help release the tension in the. We're going to talk about the teres ones in this as soon as we lay the technique in, and then it comes up and over until it makes its way to the tragus, in front of the tragus. But after compression here, so again, circle friction on the top, some compression right on the back of the scapula, a little compression into the posterior deltoid. That pressure's okay. And then we're going to mobilize. So with my outside hand, I'm going to create a ledge. So, and in that ledge, I'm going to put it right underneath the head of her humerus. You don't want to dig in, like curl your fingers, because the fingertips will go into the fibers of pec major on the coracoid process and for the attachment of pec minor, and it's very irritating. So you want to keep like a flat.
Oh yeah, much better.
And now fingertips are going to come right up against the vertebral border of the scapula, just immediately distal of the superior angle. And then I'm just going to mobilize back.
Was that change? Okay.
So this is coming back because my arm is straight, and I'm just rocking my weight back.
No, you have the zoom quality.
Yeah.
Remember how we did the in sideline? We used our fingers curling up underneath there. We also did our toes. And this is another way of doing it here in prone.
In prone, you work head to toe.
Because it's
So we're going like
it's all yang.
and then down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So primarily the front yin, back yang to a certain extent. Okay, so yes? Yeah?
Yeah.
So now you go down to the inferior angle. Now you're going to change hands. Yes, let's have that sound again. And you're going to compress just immediately below the inferior angle of the scapula. Here's the spine. I'm going to come just lateral of the spine and just distal to the inferior angle of the scapula. I'm going to go like this. So inhale and exhale. As I mobilize back, I'm pressing down. So it's a nice face, Tatiana. It's easy though. You don't have to do it hard. It's okay. Twisting, compression, opening, loveliness. Take it down to the sacrum. Ooh la la. One thing about how the arm pivots in this mobilization, you want to keep the elbow bent, and you're going to see that it pivots basically on the person's wrist when you lift up, see? So if their arm is out too far, it's not going to go up as much. Elbow bent, pivot on the wrist, that's what you want. After that, I'm just going to take the arm, and then I'm going to come to the side.
Why did you start on this side again? I thought for some reason her head was facing.
Because her she was facing this way, and if I was trying to mobilize the scapula with her facing this way, I'd be going all up into her business.
Gotcha.
I've had my fingers go up people's noses. Okay, so we're going to start now, finish this side. So we're going to do a little elbow work into the inner bladder meridian. So we're going to feel for the spine, and we're going to come just immediately lateral of the spine in the lamina groove. This is where the inner bladder meridian is. So we're going to start at the top of the shoulder, tip of the elbow, just sinking. And we're going to work all the way down.
And so there's points of the bladder meridian on that line.
Yes, on the inner bladder. And they affect all the organs in the body. Is that on that handout I gave you? That pressure's okay. So I use the spinous process as a guide. So my pressure is down but slightly towards the spine. bladder meridian opener, but it helps open the back quite a bit. If you remember, when you study the muscles of the spine, there's those, they call them postural muscles, which are the deepest of the muscles in the back, like the rotatories, intertransversae, all those things. They go from transverse process to transverse process, to spinous, multifidus, all those. When you angle your pressure towards the spine, you get those muscles. So you're opening up at deepest level of the muscle, so it helps release tension and it helps you facilitate the chi a little bit more. Now, and I'm nice contact and I'm leaning in, right? We're trying to create some perpendicular pressure, not muscling in.
So is the bladder on the back sort of similar to how the hara functions? Because it has connections to all the organs. You know how we did the yin and we did the stomach?
Yeah, so and both things are used for diagnosis and for balancing all the organs. Like the areas in the hara, because they're connected, you can use that not only as diagnosis, but if you just work on the hara, it helps balance all the organs because of that connection. Same with this.
So if we had like a super belly self-conscious person, we could just work on their back points.
It's a little harder to detect what's out of balance, kyojitsu, because the back muscles are so thick. But if you just work on them, it's cool. That's why seated massage, that's all based on shiatsu. You know, because they're working bladder meridian primarily and things, so it's a really good overall invigorating position. So that's that side. And to repeat now the same thing on the other side, the only thing you need to do is turn. And we're going to do the same thing. But one thing I'm going to say is that I would then ask the person to turn their head. But also, too, when you're compressing on someone and their arm is in this position, it creates too much space here between their body and the mat. And the people can be very tight there. But if you turn their arm this way, it flattens the front and it articulates a little clearer with the mat so it can receive a little bit more pressure. So you want to, I would suggest not compressing with them in this position because it might be too much in the front of her shoulder, but to rather encourage that the arm is back like this so it'll take the pressure a little bit more, and then you can repeat. And I'm again compressing on the exhale, rocking. I want to see some up on your knees just to make sure that you're utilizing your body weight and not your arm strength. And if you have any formal training, you can point your toes. That's applicable to anyone. You want to take that compression down and include the sacrum. Do that compression at least twice. I think two times is pretty socially acceptable for everyone. You know, your breath dictates the rhythm, so once you've done that compression, you're going to just step across. Pull our arm down so it starts to open up the top. So you're nice and open to the work. Come in, do some nice circular friction on the top of the shoulder. Compression on the back. So you're addressing the musculature on the back of the scapula. One of the sits muscles, yeah. Helps stabilize the humerus. So if it's overly tight, it's going to keep the ball compressed into the acetabulum too much, so it'll reduce its range of motion. So the more you address those muscles, the better chance you have of getting a little better mobilization. That creating the ledge and coming right up underneath the head of the humerus, Fingertips right up against the vertebral border of the scapula, just immediately distal or below the superior angle. Inhaling, on the exhale, you just shift your weight back. Feel how tight in here. 100 times.
Okay, that's very good for
Yeah, I'm seriously in need of that after holding the camera still.
So this is this rocking, right? You know, this is, no matter the weight, you're going to get some lift. If your arm is straight, you just shift your weight back. So after that, switch, inhale please, and exhale. So now this is twisting compression. Include the sacrum.
Can you compress on the erectors there, mostly?
Yeah, the compression is right on, mostly on the lungs, just in this.
Oh.
You don't want to wander out too far laterally. You just want to be immediately lateral of the spine. If you come out too far laterally, I feel that well, you're off the meridian, first of all.
Yeah.
But I think it compromises the ribs a little bit too. You take too much compression too far laterally. So then you're going to move the arm, switch, pull down the shirt. Feel for the spine, come just immediately lateral, and just going to sink. Now the more you increase this angle, the more specific the point of contact comes. So I would suggest doing just broad pressure first. And if for ever any instance you feel like you need to put a little bit more pressure, or the person says, may I have a little bit more pressure, you just need to increase this a little bit. Because that increases, it refines the contact point and makes it more direct. So, and again, my weight, my intention, my angle, down towards and in towards the spine. Okay.
And you don't go onto the sacrum with that one?
Now with my elbow so much. We're going, when we do the thumbing, we're going to go on to the side. Okay, thank you.